Can you share just an example of how these concepts and the work that you've done have really helped someone who was in a struggling place?
Personally, I have been able to see the world now in a way I've never been able to before. I can understand what's happening politically, between nations, between communities and groups of people, different factions, families, relationships. So it's been a fascinating lens through which to really understand people, understand myself, understand our world. And so it's something that I have studied pretty much everything out there. And this is the simplest, most elegant way to really learn about yourself and learn about how we are in this life and how we can relate more effectively with each other.
Beautiful.
And I would say I'd follow up on what Alan said. Is someone like Alan, and I've got a lot of friends like him who are very politically aware. They have found, like Alan personally, but also other friends of ours who are very political, they have found that this model's given them great peace of mind because they were very angry about what was happening in the world and had a lot of angst and frustration, and suddenly understanding like the terrains of some of the big players on the planet, some of the leaders, some of the factions, to understand that has given them peace of mind in able to show up in their activism in a more empowered way rather than such an angry way. And then someone like me who's more focused on the personal than the political has helped me so much because like I now understand my family members and my close friends, and any conflicts that were happening between, say, me and my sister or between my mum and my dad, like they have smoothed out now. Like when my dad read our book, because my dad's at Square and my mum was at Spiral, they're like 3 terrains apart, and they're both beautiful, wise people, but they just saw the world so differently. When my dad read our book, he was like, oh my God, I finally understand your mother. Personally, in my own family, it has been hugely healing. So I guess it really depends where your angst is. If your angst is more in your understanding of yourself, then this will be really helpful. If your angst is more in the breakdown of relationships between you and the people you love, this will be really helpful. And if your angst is more in your fear and frustration and anger about what's happening in the world around you, then this will be really helpful because it gives you an explanation for all 3. And that's why it's a really simple, beautiful thing to study, because the same 10 terrains are playing out within us individually, between us interpersonally, but also playing out in the world.
Well, it does sound like something absolutely beautiful. I've always been a big believer that compassion and love for someone else really is the only way to heal the world. You don't always have to agree with the other person, but try to understand where they're coming from and try to have compassion for their perspective, what they're thinking. And it seems like your book is such a wonderful, beautiful tool to help people do that. And especially in light of all of these heightened political times, to be able to replace that sort of anger and angst and misunderstanding about what and why is going on with this understanding and compassion and this just twist of perception. It sounds wonderful. So congratulations on the great work that you guys are doing. And thank you so much for sharing that all with us here. I can't wait to take the quiz, and we'll definitely put a link to that in the show notes for everyone. And I'll be so curious to hear the stories coming in for people who have found it to be really helpful for them.